Elizabeth Cady Stanton once said, "The best protection a woman can have is courage." This quote reminds me about an important patriot, Lydia Dara. Good afternoon, teachers, peers, judges, and parents. My name is Brooklyn Sawyer. Lydia was known as a patriot for many reasons. She risked her life, saved countless lives with her bravery, and she proved people wrong about women. Lydia was born in 1729 in Dublin, Ireland. She was forced to use her home as a meeting place. During this time, she hid in a closet and found out information she knew she needed to tell the president, George Washington. The information was about an attack that the British were going to take on them. The only way she could deliver this information was to travel. She did this during the Revolutionary War. She risked her life as a mother of 5. And if she didn't deliver this information, we probably wouldn't have our country right now, the USA. Lydia also saved countless lives with her bravery. And not only did she save them, but she saved George Washington and the whole entire Continental Army. She must have had a lot of bravery to do something like that. Lydia also proved people wrong about women. She proved that women can make big changes and important contributions. She also proved to those British officers that she isn't just some ordinary woman. Lydia was known as a patriot for her risk, bravery, and determination. Something you might not know about Lydia is that she didn't get much credit when she came home, but she should know now that she is known as a patriot who risked her life for American independence. She might not only be an inspiration to me, but other women in the world. Thank you for listening to my speech about Lydia Dara, and I hope you enjoyed learning about an important patriot.
Greetings. My name is Sophia Picasso, and I'm a 6th grader at Pure Elementary. I'm going to present my patriotic speech on the Pledge of Allegiance. Friends, fellow citizens, patriots, today I want to talk about the 31 words that us kids often recite every single day. 31 words that we often recite without a second thought. The Pledge of Allegiance. But in those few seconds, we listen to the core values that define the United States. The Pledge of Allegiance are not just words recited in school. It is a very big promise. It is loyalty not to a single leader, but to our nation for which it stands. A nation built on principles that have guided us through hard times. I would like to share with you what some of those words mean to me. Nation under God. This phrase reminds us of a national purpose that extends our differences and a belief that our rights come from a higher power, not the government. Indivisible, a powerful reminder that even though we have our differences and disagreements, we are all united as one country. Our strength is in our ability to be a single nation, with liberty and justice for all. This is the ultimate promise that we the people as a nation should try to achieve. It is the rights of our life that cannot be taken away. The rights to liberty and our rights to see happiness. The Pledge of Allegiance tells us what it means to be an American. When proudly reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, we should all stand for the United States with our right hand placed over our hearts. The pledge we are making represents a lot of things, but it mostly represents a commitment we should all try to keep. Doing this, we can all stand with the United States, no matter what happens. So the next time you hear those words, or place your hand over your heart, I urge you to think about the commitment you're making. Honor the flag, honor our history, and honor the promise of the future. Thank you.
Almost everyone knows how the Pledge of Allegiance is said, but have you ever wondered, what does the Pledge of Allegiance mean? Good morning, judges, parents, and fellow contestants. My name is Dulce Vega from Pioneer Elementary School, and today I'm going to be talking about the Pledge of Allegiance and how it unites us as a country. But not only that, but also how every word in the Pledge of Allegiance has an important meaning, and what the Pledge of Allegiance is overall about. What if I told you that the Pledge of Allegiance is presumably more patriotic and interesting than you think? You might not believe me now, but I have a strong conviction that by the end of my speech, you will believe that the Pledge of Allegiance is very patriotic and even quite interesting. First, I will be talking about how the Pledge of Allegiance unites us as a country. For example, when you say, one nation and indivisible, you're showing that we are one country and that we are united. I believe it shows that we are connected in a singular nation we all share in unity. Apart from this, the Pledge of Allegiance also honors sacrifice from the U.S. military and all people who have protected our country. Without a doubt, it's a shared moment of promise and loyalty to the USA. Furthermore, I will be explaining how every word in the Pledge of Allegiance has an important meaning that both unites us as a country and is very patriotic, and in my opinion, is quite interesting. For example, when you say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, you're showing loyalty to the USA. Equally important, when you say, to the republic for which it stands, you're not only showing loyalty to the USA government, but also to its foundational principles, because they both are one of the reasons that we are an organized country. Just like when we say, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It shows that we have the right to do whatever we want, as long as it follows the USA laws. Now, we know what the Pledge of Allegiance is trying to tell us with every word, but now what it's overall about. To start, it's a way to show loyalty to the U.S. flag and the republic it represents. Furthermore, it affirms core American value. For example, unity, liberty, and justice for everyone under an indivisible nation. Overall, we know what the Pledge of Allegiance is trying to tell us with every word, but now what it's overall about. To start, it's a way to show loyalty to the U.S. flag and the republic it represents. Overall, we know what the Pledge of Allegiance is trying to tell us with. Overall, the Pledge of Allegiance unites us with every word said. I believe it should be noted that the Pledge of Allegiance has an important meaning that shows that we are an organized and united country that has liberty and justice for all. Moreover, with this in mind, I want you to think about, does this change your opinion on the pledge? Does the Pledge of Allegiance have a more important, deeper meaning? Does it seem more patriotic, more interesting? Without a doubt, I have conviction it has. Thank you, judges, parents, and fellow contestants for your time.
How can you show patriotism? Hello, judges, parents, and fellow contestants. You can show patriotism by saying the Pledge of Allegiance every day in school or anywhere else. I'm Derek. Today I'll be talking about how young people could show patriotism. Patriotism is very important to me because it builds a bigger and stronger nation when we support and work together. My 3 claims I'll be talking about today are by saying the Pledge of Allegiance every day, volunteering to help, and caring about the environment. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance is a patriotic way to show patriotism. Kids in the United States stand up proud and put their hand over their heart. Kids do this to show patriotism, pride, and respect for those who fought and died for our flag, country, and freedom. After you do the Pledge of Allegiance, you have to do something called the moment of silence for 1 minute. This shows honor and respect for those who died for our country. Another way to show patriotism is by volunteering at school or locally. Kids in the United States also volunteer locally in a dog shelter, which is a patriotic way to show patriotism. This shows patriotism because it shows how you care about the animals and believe they should all have a better home. Kids also can show patriotism by volunteering at a food bank. This also shows how much you care about the people that are homeless, people who may have no food, and struggling financially. The final way to show patriotism is by caring about the environment. Children throughout the country are patriotic because they care about the environment. This is a patriotic way to show patriotism because it shows how you care about your country, but not just your country, but also the people and animals. Another way to care about your environment is by picking up trash either in your city or neighborhood. This shows how you also care about your country and world, but not just your country and world, but also the animals and people. Overall, these are ways to be patriotic or to show patriotism. This shows you care and are proud about your country. If we all do our parts, even in small ways, we can make our country a better place. This is what a true patriotic means to me.
To start off, I have a question. Who was the one who wrote 51 essays for the new Constitution of the 1700s, the Federalist Papers? Alexander Hamilton. Who was George Washington's right-hand man? Alexander Hamilton. But wait, who is Alexander Hamilton? Alexander Hamilton was our $10 founding father who had contributed a great feat to our country. He had pretty much shaped all the way our financial system works, and he had fought for our freedom when Britain was trying to take over. Alexander Hamilton had fought in many battles, such as the battles of White Plains, the Battle of Princeton, the Battle of Trenton, and so many more. Alexander Hamilton had fought for us because he believed that America could be a strong united nation, in which he was correct. Alexander Hamilton had helped write a series of essays called the Federalist Papers alongside John Jay and James Madison. In total, they wrote 85 essays that were supposed to be divided evenly by the three men. John Jay had gotten sick after writing 5. James Madison wrote 29, but Hamilton wrote the other 51. With these essays done, the new Constitution of the 1700s was finished, all by the help of Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison working together. A famous quote by Alexander Hamilton is, "Those who stand for nothing fall for everything." This quote means that people who don't have values or core principles are easily swayed or manipulated, saying that people who don't have values are more gullible than others. Alexander Hamilton had had a wife and son. His son was named Philip Hamilton and his wife was named Elizabeth Schuyler. At 19 years old, Philip Hamilton had died in Weekend, New Jersey during a duel. At 49 years old, Alexander Hamilton took his last breath in Weekend, New Jersey during a duel with the Vice President Aaron Burr at that time. Now, to end off, I have another question. Who was our $10 founding father? Alexander Hamilton. Who was the one who set up our whole financial system? Alexander Hamilton. And who was the greatest patriot of all time? Alexander Hamilton. Now, to fully end off, I want to say a fun fact. There is a musical that you can find on either Disney Plus or if you're lucky, you can find it on YouTube. And that musical is called Hamilton. And it shows how Hamilton became our $10 founding father and how he was the greatest patriot of all time. I'm Lillian Jackson and I'm signing off. Thank you for listening.
Hello families, judges, and my fellow contestants. My name is Kimberly Goodrich, and I will be sharing a speech about Susan B. Anthony, the woman who gave all women the privilege to vote. Susan B. Anthony, a name I think of when I think of patriotism, a brave, righteous woman, willing to do what it takes for equal rights. And it was her, the leader of women's suffrage movement, who granted women the privilege to vote in 1920. She had many setbacks before she was successful. Many angry crowds tried to stop her from giving speeches. The newspapers she wrote got sent back. Looking back on this, I can't believe she kept going. One of her many patriotic speeches she gave was this. It was we, the people. Not we, the white male citizens, but we, the whole people who formed the Union. And we formed it, not to give the blessings of liberty, but to secure them. And not to the half of ourselves and to the half of our posterity, but to the whole people, women as well as men. And it is downright mockery to talk to women of their enjoyments of the blessings of liberty while they are denied the only means securing them, provided by this democratic Republican government, the ballot. Susan B. Anthony, 1873. This speech was so heartfelt, I could feel the courage in these words. I can only picture her speaking, declaring even, against fierce, upset, and angry crowds. I think I speak for many of us today when I say that takes guts, especially so that 1 year ago, in 1872, she was arrested. She got arrested for illegally voting, and I was delighted to hear she held her head high and spoke for what she believed in. That is why I will vote, knowing my rights are protected. Susan B. Anthony, through her success, was put on the coin in 1997, though in 2000 she was removed due to public disagreements. Though she isn't on a coin, Susan B. Anthony still represents patriotism. Thank you.
I remember being asked, how do you show patriotism? That question made me wonder, what is patriotism and how can people show it? Hello, fellow contestants, audience, and judges. I am Brielle Faseha, and today I will be talking about patriotism, what it is, and how younger people in your community can show it. Now, to begin, what is patriotism? Well, patriotism is the love someone has for their country, and although children can show patriotism in many ways, I will be talking about how they can show it through public acts of service, respecting the flag, and supporting veterans. Firstly, let's talk about one way children can show patriotism, through public acts of service. One public act of service that shows patriotism is community service. When children do community service, they make an effort to take care of their community. This shows how much they love and value their community, which is patriotic. Another public act of service that shows patriotism is support towards organizations that help people in need. Children can support these organizations by volunteering or raising donations. When you volunteer or donate, you ensure that someone who doesn't have the resources to take care of themselves is taken care of. Helping people in your community is patriotic. Now, on to my second way children can show patriotism, through their respect for the flag. You can show patriotism by saying one thing, the Pledge of Allegiance. When someone says the pledge, it is a promise of loyalty to their country. This means that by saying it, you can be patriotic. Another way children can show respect for the flag is by saluting. When you salute the flag, you not only respect it, you honor it. Speaking of honor, did you know that celebrating holidays like Flag Day honors principles like patriotism, freedom, and unity? This means that by celebrating Flag Day, you can openly express your patriotism. Furthermore, let's talk about my third and final way children can show patriotism, by supporting the people who once fought for our country. Yes, I am talking about veterans. One way children can support veterans is by visiting them. By visiting a veteran, you will most likely boost their emotional morale. Another way children can support veterans is by sending care packages. When sending a care package, you not only ensure that a veteran has what they need to take care of themselves, but you ensure that they remember to take care of themselves. Now, I understand that you still may be wondering, what makes these things patriotic? Well, as I previously stated, patriotism is the love someone has for their country, and I, Brielle Faseha, have told you about public acts of service, respecting the flag, supporting veterans, and how all three of these things show someone's love for their country. Now, I would like to thank you for listening, but before I finish, let me ask you a question. How are you going to use what I told you today to further show patriotism?
Hi, I'm Mary Alice Jacobs, and welcome to the 39th Annual Patriotic Speech Contest. I'm here today to talk about Alexander Hamilton, the man who made modern America, how his life was before he came to America, his contributions to the Revolutionary War, and how his life was after the war. Hamilton became an orphan at the age of 12 years old. He was born in the Caribbean and worked for a merchant. When he was 15 years old, a group of people believed that he had what it took to make the world a better place. They raised enough money and they sent him to New York for his studies, but they were cut short due to the American Revolutionary War. From 1776 to 1781, Hamilton fought in the Revolutionary War. In 1776, in his early service, he fought as an artillery in accompanying action in the New York and New Jersey campaigns. From 1777 to 1781, he was George Washington's aide. Through all of his contributions, he then later on was given the position as the first U.S. Secretary of Treasury. After the war, Alexander was known as the man who made modern America. So, some of the things that he did as the first U.S. Secretary were establish the first U.S. bank. He
established the False Years Bank, introduced tariffs and excise taxes, advocated for industrial and economic development, and had a successful career as a lawyer, and more. Some of these things that he did 200 years ago still affect us today in 2026 in our country. So, parents, judges, and fellow contestants, thank you for being here today so that you could listen to me talk about Alexander Hamilton and how he represented patriotism.
If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Maya Angelou's inspiring words, I believe, encourages patriotism. The definition of patriotism is a deep love, pride, and devotion to one's country. In this speech, I will discuss who Maya Angelou is, what changes she made for our country, and what we, as young people, can do to show patriotism. Maya Angelou, also known as Margaret Johnson, was born in 1928. She is a renowned American poet, memoirist, and civil rights activist. She is most celebrated for her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Angelou served as a coordinator for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and worked closely with Martin Luther King Jr. She went on to receive over 50 honorary degrees and was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2011, just before her passing in 2014 at the age of 86. Angelou changed the country by using her powerful voice. She used her writings to champion civil rights and human dignity. Maya used her talents for acting and singing to organize and star in musicals and off-Broadway productions. She worked alongside major figures like James Earl Jones, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Oprah, and Barack Obama. Like Maya Angelou, we as young people can use our voice to make changes in this country. We can show patriotism by citing the Pledge of Allegiance and flying the American flag, by learning our cultural heritage, celebrating in national symbols, and engaging in patriotic activities are all ways to show patriotism. Some easy ways we as young people can make changes in this country are by volunteering, voting, and honoring our veterans. The famous author Maya Angelou once said, "If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude." In my speech, I discussed who Maya Angelou is, what changes she made for our country, and what we as young people can do to show patriotism. My name is Avery Wallace. Thank you, judges, students, teachers, and fellow contestants for listening. What are you going to change, and how will you show patriotism as a U.S. citizen?
If the freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter. George Washington once said. Hello, judges, teachers, parents, and my fellow contestants. My name is Savannah Saltzman, and today I'll be talking about the American Revolutionary War. The American Revolutionary War reminds me of Green Arrow because he fights bad guys. While Great Britain are like those bad guys, the colonists are like Green Arrow. This is how the American Revolutionary War reminds me of patriotism. I will talk about my first reason. It played a big part of history. It played an important role in history because without it, we would still be under Great Britain's control. The colonists fought for their freedom. The colonists gained freedom from the American Revolutionary War. This is my first reason how it's patriotic. My second reason is the colonists were brave. The colonists were brave by sending the King of Great Britain a letter. But Great Britain just won war. So Great Britain had hired 30,000 German soldiers, and those German soldiers are called Hessians. But the colonist army was not trained. So the colonists hired the French soldiers. That is my second reason how it is patriotic. My third reason is it lasted a long time. It lasted a long time by lasting from 1775 until 1783. This tells you how long the American Revolutionary War lasted from. Lastly, I will talk about my conclusion. My first reason was it played an important role in history. My second reason was the colonists were brave. And my third reason was it lasted a long time. And a couple ways for you to be patriotic are by respecting parents,
teachers, classmates, and anyone. You can also thank veterans and people who are actively in the military. You can also wear red, white, and blue. And you can say the Pledge of Allegiance. Because if you respect someone, they'll respect you back. Thank you, judges, teachers, parents, and my fellow contestants for listening to me. I'm Savannah Saltzman from Desert Palms.
At times like these, you stop and think about just how good we have it, what system we live in, and the freedoms that we're allowed. A lot of my family has gone and fought in wars, and I really haven't done a darn thing. Pat Tillman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rachel Lyons. Pat Tillman was a true American patriot. He gave his whole life up to serve for our country. In 1998, Pat Tillman joined the NFL to work with the Cardinals. It was his dream come true to join his state team as a safety. Pat Tillman was very successful with his time on the Cardinals. While he was playing for his dream team, he made 224 tackles. All of this changed, however, on September 11, 2001, when America was attacked by terrorists. In the aftermath of 9/11, Pat Tillman began to feel that his life as a football player had no real meaning. He was inspired by his great-grandfather, who was at Pearl Harbor in World War II, and felt like it was his American duty to serve in the military. Pat Tillman gave up a $3.6 million NFL contract to enlist in the Army. It takes a proud American patriot to give up his dream job where he could be famous and make millions of dollars to become a humble Army Ranger and serve his country in a time of danger and uncertainty. Pat Tillman enlisted in the Army in May of 2002, became an Army Ranger, and was sent to Iraq to fight for our country. Sadly, Pat Tillman was killed on April 22, 2004, in Afghanistan. As we reflect on 250 years of American patriotism, it is my belief that Pat Tillman is one of the greatest patriots of them all. A patriot is someone who gives up their own desires to serve the greater good. Pat Tillman demonstrated his love for America by giving up his dream job as a football player so he could fight and die for Americans to have freedom. I am inspired to show patriotism the way that Pat Tillman did. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, judges, audience members, and my fellow contestants. I say the Pledge of Allegiance every day in the morning when I'm in class. While saying the pledge, I have various thoughts about it. My thoughts on the Pledge of Allegiance are knowing what it means, knowing its importance, and understanding what it means to me. The Pledge of Allegiance is very important, but what does it really mean? We can have no 50-50 allegiance in this country. Either a man is an American and nothing else, or he is not an American at all. This quote said by the 26th President Teddy Roosevelt means undivided loyalty to the U.S., or true Americanism. I feel that this contributes to the Pledge of Allegiance. This is because the pledge means being faithful and loyal to your country. Here are some lines from the pledge and their meaning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. These lines mean I promise to be faithful and true to the emblem that stands for and represents all 50 states and territories, all individual and individually states represented on the flag. Overall, knowing the meaning of the pledge is very important to know as an American. We now know the meaning of the pledge, but yet another thought of mine, why is the pledge so important? The pledge can teach everybody in America lots of different things. For example, it can teach people to honor the past, which could mean reflecting on the sacrifices people made that came before them. It can also help people gain respect for the flag. This means that they will not just see a flag with stars and stripes. They will see a symbol that represents our country as a country of freedom, liberty, and so much more. Another thing that the pledge can teach people is patriotism.
For example, the lines liberty and justice for all remind people of the core values on which the United States was founded. As a result, we now know the meaning and importance of the pledge, but I still have one last thought. My last thought on the pledge is what it means to me. The pledge means an amazing amount to me. For example, the pledge is so much more than just something we say. To me, the pledge is like a solemn promise to the U.S. Also to me, the pledge means being loyal to the U.S. Being loyal to the U.S. is following the laws, saying the pledge every day, and so much more. Most of all, I feel grateful that we have a pledge to say. What I mean is, I'm happy that we can say something that states how amazing our country is. All in all, the pledge means so much to me, and I hope it means so much to everybody in America as well. In conclusion, my thoughts on the Pledge of Allegiance are knowing what it means, knowing its importance, and knowing what it means to me. We can have no 50-50 allegiance in this country. Either a man is an American and nothing else, or he is not an American at all. This quote I said earlier restates everything I had to say. So now, after saying all of my thoughts, I would love to know, what are your thoughts on the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. This was a quote once said by John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. Good morning, judges, teachers, parents, and my fellow contestants. My name is Shiloh Perrin, and I'm a proud student of Marshall Ranch. What does patriotism mean to you, and how have you shown it? Patriotism is a deep love, pride, and devotion to one's country. One of the many ways a young citizen can show patriotism towards their country is by showing our respect and appreciation to veterans. We can do this by sending care packages, celebrating Veterans Day, Memorial Day, or others, and sending a card to any family or friends you have that was or is still in the military. It's important to do this because veterans represent our country, showing integrity, wisdom, and loyalty. So next time you're sharing meals and memories, honoring service means more than just words. It's about remembrance, empathy, and action. Another act of patriotism is volunteering. Volunteering is giving up your time and skill to help with an important cause. As Elizabeth Andrew once said, volunteers don't necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. Some ways you can volunteer is by being a part of local cleanups at parks, beaches, or neighborhoods. You can also volunteer at nursing homes, helping your elders with just simple daily tasks. One all young boys and girls can do is Scouts. All Scouts are trained in first aid, CPR, and survival skills, so they are capable of helping neighbors in case of an emergency. Lastly, voting. It's good to vote because it shows that you care for your country and the future of it. Remember, no matter white or black, rich or poor, lady or man, it's still good to vote because it gives the state and government the ability to elevate the right people into positions of power. Remember, when you don't vote, you are essentially letting others make these life-alternating decisions for you. So make sure you register to vote as soon as you can. To conclude, we went over what patriotism is, ways we can show patriotism by showing our respect and appreciation to veterans, volunteering, and voting. But remember, there are still so many ways a young citizen can show patriotism. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
July 4th, 1776. 56 signatures on the page, all agreeing on ideas to become a new nation. This was the Declaration of Independence, an important document that would shape the creation of the United States of America, a country I am proud to be part of. Hello, judges, teachers, parents, and fellow contestants. My name is Emily Smith, and I am proud to be an American because of our generosity as a nation, our advancements in technology, and most importantly, our freedom. To begin, I am proud to be an American because of our generosity. In 2023, America contributed $66 billion to help other countries. This was more than second and third place combined. In addition, Americans also help each other. The World Giving Index ranks the most generous countries in 3 categories: helping strangers, donating to charity, and volunteering. America always ranks high, and in 2024, we placed 6th among 140 countries. I am proud to be part of a nation that values helping those in need. Also,
America has made several bold advancements in technology that still impact our lives today. When Wilbur and Orville Wright were little, their dad bought them a rubber band-powered toy helicopter, which sparked their interest in flight. When they were older, they tried hard to make money, but everything failed, and so they opened a bike shop. They worked for 4 years and devoted themselves to the goal of human flight until they successfully designed and flew the first ever airplane, setting the stage for air travel today. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, once said, "I have not failed. I just found 1,000 ways that won't work." While there are many others, these examples show how American perseverance and innovation can change the world. Finally, while there are many reasons I am proud to be an American, the one that is most important to me is freedom. We enjoy many types of liberty, and in the First Amendment of the Constitution, we are guaranteed 4 freedoms: speech, religion, press, and assembly. The one that is most important to me is freedom of speech. We have the right to express ourselves and say what we believe without being punished by our government. Another important privilege is the freedom of religion. Thomas Jefferson, our 3rd president and the author of the Declaration of Independence, once said, "The constitutional freedom of religion is the most inalienable and sacred of all human rights." America doesn't put regulations on our faith, so no matter what religion you are, we can all be thankful that America allows us to practice our beliefs. At the end of the day, I am proud to be an American because of our generosity as a nation, our advancements in technology, and most importantly, our freedom. Now that you've heard my opinion, I encourage you to think about what makes you proud to be an American. Thank you.
Good afternoon, audience, judges, and my fellow contestants, and in all cases, my fellow Americans. What does it mean to be an American? What does it mean to be patriotic? I believe the answer could be found in the founding of our country, in our founding fathers' most famous document, the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is the clearest declaration of what it means to be patriotic, American style. And in the Declaration of Independence, there's one phrase that's always stood out to me personally, and it is as follows. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's such an important phrase from the Declaration of Independence. I believe the first part of it, where it says all men are created equal, means that whether you are rich or poor, or different skin color, or different gender, or anything else like that, you are equal. Our founding fathers, in writing this declaration, had just gone through a war for independence and self-government. So even if they had not quite fully lived up to the ideal of equality, through the patriotic actions of brave Americans, such as Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., and many others, America is now much closer to that ideal. And then life and liberty. Life and liberty means that you can have a life, which is your own, and the liberty of freedom. And you don't have to worry about any government, king, or dictator coming and taking that away from you. And then finally, the pursuit of happiness. Now, the pursuit of happiness can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. For me personally, it means that I can attend church, and I don't have to worry about the government coming and saying, "You can't do that," throwing me in jail, or even killing me. And when I grow up, I can decide what job I want to have, whether it's being a doctor or veterinarian or any other job. I could choose, and I have the right to choose. And all of you have these rights too. I'm Sawyer Hernando from Copperwood Elementary, asking, what are you doing to pursue life, liberty, and happiness? Thank you for listening, my fellow Americans.
Good afternoon, judges, families, and contestants. My name is Christabel James. When most people think of the word patriotism, they think of big flags, parades, or social media expressions. But for me, Patriotism has a name. I call him Anthony Grandpa Hero. My grandpa is a U.S. veteran, and because of his sacrifice, I see my future completely different. Growing up, I learned that being a veteran was one of the highest levels of patriotism. And that meant more than just wearing a uniform. It means being willing to leave your home, your family, and your safety to protect U.S. views and families. My grandpa and so many other soldiers fought to make sure that the land of the free wasn't just a slogan, but a reality for all of us. He gave up the luxury of sitting at the dinner table to share a meal with his wife and kids, hear how their days went, see first steps happen, so that one day I could be safe and dream big, that I too could grow up to serve my country, be a famous singer, or nurture an educated generation of kids as a Peoria teacher. Because of his sacrifice and the sacrifice of so many others, my future is bright. I don't have to worry about whether I can go to school, share my thoughts, or follow my faith. Those freedoms were paid for by the amazing bravery and blood of patriotism. Knowing that there are soldiers in my family and around the world helping to protect our country makes me want to work harder. It reminds me that I have a responsibility to be a good citizen, to help my neighbors, and not to take my freedom for granted. Patriotism means loving your country, but it also means being willing to act for it. Sometimes this sacrifice takes away the very breath of those who love and fight for it, to give hope to those who need it. My grandpa's patriotism was exchanged for his last breath and packaged in a folded American flag with a salute. In that moment, I knew he saw the beauty of the red, white, and blue, the promise of forever with the Father, and the hope of an unknown grandchild who would one day stand boldly before you to share his name, talk about his sacrifice and the sacrifice of so many like him, and the hope and patriotism they have given me. Us. Thank you.